One of the greatest actors of all time, James Earl Jones, has recently passed away, and as a film student, an aspiring filmmaker and writer, I felt that it was only necessary to do this tribute video for James Earl Jones and to take the time to honor his legacy a bit. Welcome back to the Voiceovers Podcast. I'm 24K Logan. So I'm sure that all of you by now know that James Earl Jones has tragically passed away at the age of 93. And, like I said at the beginning of the video, as a film student and as someone who, loves film, it was very necessary for me to take the time out to do this video. James Earl Jones, of course, is known for his role as King Joffrey Joffre in Coming to America, the voice of Mufasa in The Lion King, and of course, best of all, and perhaps the most known of all, Darth Vader in the Star Wars franchise. The voice of Darth Vader, may I add. One of the most powerful voices you will ever hear. I would say that James Earl Jones has the best voice in the history of film. I mean, I don't think that's a crazy statement to make. His voice was so commanding and so powerful that I just don't see anybody's voice being above his. I mean, who better to choose to voice Lion King? Who better to choose for the role of King of Africa, or the king of an African country? And who better to voice someone as powerful and as commanding as Darth Vader? When you talk about film history and you focus on actors, you can't talk about that without including James Earl Jones. We're talking someone that is one of the early pioneers and someone whose career was over 60 years. You don't hear that too often. Over 60 years. And he was very versatile. Stage, film, television, and voice acting. It doesn't get any better than that. One of the most versatile, one of the most distinguished, and one of the most powerful and intimidating actors. Not just with his voice, but with his aura, his presence. You don't see that in a lot of actors, not to the extent of a James Earl Jones. And it's one of those things, like, he lived a long life, of course, at 93 years old, but the news obviously came in a very shocking way. Of course, we have been losing a lot of legends lately, and for him to now be gone and to be an ancestor is very hard to say. It's hard to talk about him in the past tense, but James Earl Jones, one of the greatest actors of all time, his legacy will forever live on. He paved the way for a lot of African Americans, especially. Him going from being a very prominent stage actor to coming onto the big screen and as well as television. I don't think that we'll ever see something like that again. And especially the time period of when he did this. He did this during the days of segregation, during the days of Jim Crow. And to go through all of what he went through and to have all of that success, I think it's the perfect inspiration story and motivation story for aspiring actors, aspiring writers, stage play writers, stage actors, film act, however you want to categorize it. It's one of the greatest stories in the history of entertainment and in the history of film. My deepest thoughts, prayers, and condolences go out to the family of James Earl Jones and of course his friends. Obviously he's worked with a lot of big name people throughout the industry, but I mean, even the biggest actors and creators of today would be a fool to not want to work with James Earl Jones. If anybody has the opportunity or had the opportunity to work with James Earl Jones, you are truly blessed, because that is definitely one of the actors and people in the industry that I would have loved to have meet and not even work with, just to have a conversation with, like a conversation about life, a conversation for an hour about the history of filmmaking. I mean, James Earl Jones is one of those people, and definitely gonna have to go back and watch his entire catalog. He starred in or had a role in over 20 films, did a lot of stage plays. He is actually one of the very few people to win Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony Award. Yes, cannot forget about that. And that's really where it started for James. That's where, you know, the foundation started for him, through off Broadway and eventually Broadway. You know, he is also one of the greatest stage actors of all time. Actually, I'm pretty sure a lot of you know this, but Denzel Washington, his role in Fences, in August Wilson's Fences, well, James Earl Jones had that role way before in the stage play. And I mean, there's clips of that on YouTube. One of the most powerful things I've seen from an actor, especially on stage. So, you know, James Earl Jones, he did the damn thing, man. He did, again, a career that expanded over 6 decades, 60 years. I haven't even been on this earth for 60 years. So, you know, if that's not motivation for actors, filmmakers, actresses, just any type of creator in general, then I don't know what is, man. Rest in peace, James Earl Jones. Gone but never forgotten. One of the greatest actors of all time. One of the greatest voices, maybe the greatest voice of all time, especially when we're talking about film, television, voiceover, stage. Definitely one of the greatest, and his place in history is forever cemented. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We have plenty of content on the way. Comment down below your favorite James Earl Jones roles or voiceovers, whatever the case may be. And until next time, peace and love to everybody.